Yeah, so I'm Luke. I'm from Australia, from Sydney. I'm a psychotherapist, life coach. I've been traveling through Europe for just over 8 months now. When I was at the start of my trip, like I was saying last night, I was pretty overwhelmed with the idea of long-term travel and really didn't know what to expect or what I was doing. And immediately when I started, I kind of was just like regretting it. I just kind of got overwhelmed and was like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? I wrapped up my whole life. And now, I look back and just think, why didn't I do this earlier in my life? It's just given me so much in so many ways. So yeah. So what's it like for you hearing just where I'm at compared to where you are in your journey?
It's refreshing to kind of assuring to see how it's somebody else does it, and it then just feels a little bit more normal. You can't really get that much of an idea from videos. Videos can do so much, but you can't really get that good of a sense of what it will be like until you meet someone, and then you kind of get a sense of it's more normal, and you kind of see this is
it's
possible.
Actually a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. It becomes more real.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When I started, like I was saying last night, I didn't know it was possible. And then when I was first started, I met people that were traveling for 3 months, and then 4 months, and 5 months, and 6 months, and then some were up and they've been traveling for 1 year, 18 months, and years. And I kind of realized that it is possible. And actually now at this point in my trip, I've realized how unbelievably easy it is to travel for long periods of time. It just takes a bit of coordination and a little bit of money. But if you plan things and line things up, you can do it, and it's very possible. There's better ways to do it and worse ways. And I think for me, and I think it's the kind of deal with travel is that it's learn by doing, and that's a beautiful part about travel is that that's the way I like to travel, is just kind of go into a country or a place you've never been to, have no idea what you're doing, and then get there, and when you arrive, understand what you're dealing with. It might seem a bit ridiculous and reckless to do that, but I just find it's more fun, and you just kind of get thrown into a situation, and then you've just got to adapt to it. And things like this are kind of a leap of faith, but it's really not as scary as what you think it is. It seems daunting at first, and then you realize that people are always around. You can always ask for help. Many times I've just had no idea where I'm going, or even I've just looked like I've had no idea where I'm going, and then a stranger's just walked up to me and been like, hey, where are you trying to go to, and things like that. So you realize that there's actually a lot of really helpful people in the world, and really kind. And whether Google or your phone might fail you or something, you always know that you can just ask someone.
What do you think that is it goes from at first relieving pressure, and then you kind of stay wanting to travel?
I think for me it's what happens when you relieve the pressure, right? When pressure's relieved, what's left? And then you are left with what is under that, which is usually different parts of yourself, or clarity, or certainty, or ideas, because for me at least, when there's pressure, it kind of holds you in a certain frame of being, in a certain way of mind, and you're kind of trapped in a box in a sense. And then when you clear the pressure, it's like clearing a room. You see the room more clearly, and you see where your things are, and you can start to organize your room more. It's just made me realize that I want to live in different places and move in different circles and experiment and explore life as much as I can. And it's that kind of cheesy, tacky thing of trying to make the most out of your life, where before I was maybe being a bit more risk adverse and more safe or methodical or whatever, though still taking risks, mind you. But now it's more like I'm willing to just go further and farther to access more life experiences. Travel's a whole different thing, man. I think, how do I explain it? Travel broadens your horizons. Certain experiences that you undertake broaden your worldview. They literally change neural pathways in your brain. Right? If you're exposed to new experiences and new stimuli, it'll open up new neural pathways and new ways of thinking. So you literally change as a person. You're forced to change and grow. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a really classic theoretical framework of exploring this, which is basically like it's like a triangle. The camera folks at home, and there's different tiers to the hierarchy of needs. And at the top of that, there's self-actualization, which is at the top of what we move towards. So once we meet our basic needs, like physiological and psychological and belonging and safety and all that kind of stuff, that we move to self-actualization. And
what does that mean, self-actualization?
Self-actualization is like realizing you. It's like coming to understand you as an individual, you as a person, or you as a concept, or you as an existential entity existing in the world. And like it's just basically self-awareness. Like being really self-aware is to be really self-actualized. And Maslow actually talks about in his writing, in his book, another stage which isn't really commonly talked about, which is self-transcendence. So how you...
Is that the next level?
Yeah, that's like the peak, which is how you live as a self-transcendent, a transcendent self.
Like
so
you're aware of what you want to become?
It's basically you know who you are well enough that how you navigate the world is by understanding everything that isn't you. It's kind of a complex topic. Yeah. But in a simple sense, it's basically like you accept that life and dimensions of experience are beyond you. There's elements of existence and elements of this world that aren't your friends and family, that aren't your belief systems, that aren't what you think about the world.
Recognizing there's a lot more out there
than what
exactly.
I can see. It's realizing that the world is bigger than what you think it is, and there's more to you than you can think. Yeah. Right? So it's realizing that there's a transcendent experience that's bigger than you.
Huh.
And I think that that's what a lot of people actually travel for, is that they're trying to experience a transcendence. So they're trying to alleviate themselves of their world that they're stuck in, because they want to experience the other world, or a world bigger than...
They want to sense in some way that other world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think in some ways it's unconsciously people striving for a spiritual experience. They're trying to find, whether it's like the spiritual dimension of life, or the spiritual dimension within themselves, or God, or some sort of higher power, or a higher experience, something that's more than them. But to feel better, it's about how you become more competent with who you are, and competent in dealing with situations and problems. So if you can become more capable and competent, you're just going to be less fearful and less vulnerable, and more, reliable, more accountable, have more integrity, be more useful. You know what I mean? Like all these things that you can be thrown in new situations and be like, oh, well, I scaled that mountain, or I traveled alone for 6 months. Like this is nothing in comparison, right? So you just feel other things become easier.
Less stress and anxious. I feel like a lot of like modern like problems that we have is like big like thing. A lot of it is like anxiety.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the more trips I do, like the less anxious I get every time I go out to a new place.
And I've been like trying to intentionally find those experiences of going outside my comfort zone. Like as I've been traveling, I'm like, I don't want to do that thing, so that's exactly what I need to do. There's a book, I think it's called The Obstacle is the Objective, or like the obstacle is the way, or the mountain is the way. But basically like the obstacle is the way you need to go. That's what you need to do. And I really like the concept. I wouldn't encourage anyone to do anything stupid with that, but like, just like,